Hello and welcome to episode 10 of Diamonds and Duds. I am Ivan.
I'm Charles Baker. Make sure to follow us after this on all social media-ness. Blue Sky, Facebook, Twitter, smoke signals.
Yeah, because follow us on all of them because it seems like some of them at some point are going away or not going away. Or
go away for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Carrier pigeon.
Okay, carrier pigeon, yeah.
Now, so what are we doing today?
We're doing a movie called The Circle.
Yeah.
I had seen this. It's been a few years since I'd seen this. It was a movie. It's a movie on Netflix. I think that's about the only spot you can watch it. I found it because one of the things I like to do is I like to find random sci-fi movies on Netflix that are independent films that look like they're going to be okay, but I don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
There's a slew of these. Ironically, there's another one I might have us watch at one point by the guy who plays Green Arrow on CW.
Okay.
It's his brother.
Oh, okay.
His brother's an actor, too.
Yeah, I think that he played. I think he was in with him maybe on the show Heels. I might be wrong.
Yeah,
I know his brothers.
They look almost identical.
Yeah.
So this was a movie. Go ahead.
So we have 2015, when a group of strangers is seized and awaits execution. They face the impossible task of choosing the one person among them worthy of being spared.
And this was directed by two people, Aaron Hahn and Mario Mosconi. I'm probably mispronouncing those. Neither one has directed much since then.
Okay.
They both did like some sort of like internet fit like TV series or something afterwards, but neither one. I hadn't looked any of this stuff up. Like I had seen the movie, I had really enjoyed the movie, but like I didn't look up any of the stuff until then. Neither one has done much in acting or directing since then. They both wrote it. This got a 57% by critics.
Okay.
And a 43% by audience.
Really?
That really surprised me.
That surprised me too. Spoiler alert. We're gonna. I mean, I know I'm not with the majority on that.
You know, and my guess is just not a lot of people have seen it.
Probably.
It's because like the quote, there was only 6 top critics. On there, and so I think that's a lot of what it was, and a lot of the ones when I was looking, because what I like to try and do is find funny, reviews, and I couldn't there wasn't a lot of the reviews said, hey, it feels like a long episode of Twilight Zone, but I'm like that's not a bad thing.
No.
And what I enjoyed about and we'll kind of get into our normal break, what I enjoyed is that this movie kind of made you think.
It does.
And bluntly, I'm someone who, in kind of whodunit and movies with twists, Ivan is an idiot. Ivan is really stupid. And Ivan never figures out what the ending's going to be until they show it to him.
Yeah.
So Ivan didn't know what the ending was going to be until it happened.
Yeah.
And even the second time Ivan saw it, he forgot the final ending.
Yeah.
Which, spoiler, it's a thing.
Yeah. And so there, those of you that are Buffy and Angel fans, we do have a Buffy
and
Angel
isn't she in Dexter? She's in Dexter.
Oh, yeah, she's in Dexter. I haven't seen Dexter. Yeah, she's in Dexter. She's Dexter's wife, right?
Dexter's wife later on.
It's Darla. Julie Benz, her actual name, which unrelated, to hear they're doing
I've heard good
revival.
things. Yeah, I've heard good things.
Yeah, Sarah.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were talking about Dexter.
Oh, Dexter, yeah. Dexter too.
Dexter also.
Too, but they announced, but Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
Sarah Michelle says, she never thought she would have, but it's like this Chloe's, this really big name, like behind that scene.
The main guy's not doing it, is he?
No, Sarah Michelle Gellar's the only person.
No. I mean the director.
No.
Whedon's
not involved. And that's why, Sarah's I never thought, would never close the door, but, she gave me her ideas. I think we're still a couple years away, but they've been talking, and it sounds like they got a good idea.
That's good.
Whedon's not going to have any involvement.
I haven't looked it up. My guess is it's probably because there's Buffy fans will notice that before every episode, there was, I think it's a brother and sister or a husband and wife or something that were listed as producers on every episode of Buffy. Yeah. And it's because they were the producers of the movie.
Yeah.
And everybody was always concerned because they own as much of the rights as Whedon. Because at the time, everybody's all, Whedon's a god, Whedon's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that they did because my guess is that they're probably part of what's letting this get made.
Probably,
because they also were the ones that, not creatively, but had some of the stuff behind it too.
Yeah, so at the beginning of this movie, we open up on a group of people in a dark room. They're all standing on red circles, and right in the beginning, within the first couple of minutes, there was a moment, because, I'll write notes as I'm watching the movie. There was moments where I write, and often I'll write down a question that I have, and there's times where two different times while watching the movie, I started to write the question, and in the middle of the question got answered. So one of the first things I wrote is what happens if you step off the... Oh, never mind. So,
yeah, because basically what it is I forget how many people, let's say roughly 50 or 30 or 40 or whatever it is, people, they're in a circle, there's some sort of device in the middle, and there's arrows pointing to every person around. Yeah. And one of the people wake up, and because everybody's like standing and they look like they're asleep.
Yeah.
And one of the people wake up. I think it's the female who's like has red hair and she's maybe in her 20s or something. She wakes up and she starts like talking and stuff. And then one of the people wakes up, freaks out, and tries to run away.
Yes. And they get zapped and they die.
Yeah.
So you step off, you die.
And I want to say another person or two, then that wakes up a couple other people, then they do the same thing. Suddenly, everybody starts screaming at each other to not...
Yeah. One person, I think, tries to touch
another
person.
One person tries to touch another person, and the same thing, or a beeping happens or something like that.
And I wrote, can't lift feet or touch anyone. And then there's someone and here's another one where I started writing... question that kind of answered. Like, there's one person that kind of starts taking the lead a little bit, and this guy, I was about to say, like, this one guy might know more than the others. Oh, no.
He kind of looks like he's in his 20s or whatever, and then,
he starts talking like, okay, this guy, oh, no, he died. So what it is there's also a countdown. I think it's 2 minutes. Every 2 minutes, somebody gets zapped and dies.
What they know is that every 2 minutes, suddenly music starts playing, and then somebody gets zapped.
Yeah,
is all they know.
And so, you have people from all walks of life.
All walks of life, old, young.
Yeah, you have one kid. Well, one kid.
One kid who looks like she's 10, maybe like 10 or
11,
so.
And then you have a
pregnant woman right next to her.
Yeah.
And basically, to kind of give you there's, I want to say there's like two rows.
Yeah, two
rows of people front and back. But like they're offsetting so that you can, there's, the people are like the space between somebody. And
so like 40 to 50 maybe.
Yeah.
40 to 50 maybe in all. And they're trying to figure out what the rules are. And I wrote that like finding out the rules of this is a really, really fun, and I enjoyed. Like I thought, okay, what's the rules?
Yeah.
Finding out, and that's really kind of the first section of this movie is what are the rules here?
What are the rules here? But also, you start thinking, how would I? If I were, it's one of those things where, as I was watching it, and even more so the second time I watched it, is how would I feel I would act in this kind of situation?
Yeah, and so they figure out that each of them can, because the triangles are red, but each of them can see one white triangle.
Yep.
That's them. And so they realize that with their hand open, that they can choose white triangle
they can move the
to,
white triangle too.
And they vote by closing then their fist and locking it in.
Yeah.
So they're voting on who lives and who dies, which I thought that was cool. And so they try to find out what happens when they don't vote.
Yep.
And so random choice, somebody dies.
They also try and figure out what happens if they tie.
Yep. So what that and also so they start talking about like how should they vote. Early on, like all right, let's do all the old like the people.
Yeah, and that was one of the first things that one of the younger people. He looks like he was maybe in his mid-20s.
Yeah.
Not we'll call him main guy. It wasn't him. He didn't think of it. There was another initially quote unquote main guy who came up with and said. Actually, no, it was the Asian guy with the tattoos.
Yeah.
Was it? It was.
He did not go deep into the movie.
Okay.
It was a guy that he does not go deep
because they said, "Hey, let's vote out all the old people first.
Yeah.
That'll give us time."
Yeah,
it makes logic sense, but it's a really fucked up thing to say.
Yeah. And so like, we'll do it. There's like 5 of them. They say, like, we'll do them. That'll buy us some time. The first couple, like the second one tries to say, I remember this and that, try to delay.
Yeah, basically the third person in line realized someone had remembered the main, we'll call him main guy, had remembered while they were talking, had remembered like coming in. Like he or at least he said he had remembered coming in. And so after he was done talking, one of the old people that realized they were next in line started saying that he remembered it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I wrote at this point, I love this kind of contained story. As everyone will tell you, I'm a huge Stephen King fan. He's my favorite author. I like all his books. One of the things, a lot of people realize something is he also has quite a few books that are just short stories. Okay, and in terms of scariness, creepiness, good horror stories, his short stories are the best because what I like sometimes in horror stories is just being dropped into a situation. You don't know, like one of my favorite Stephen King short stories is called The Raft. I think they made a dumb movie based off of something, but it's called The Raft. Okay, like 4 or 5 people on a raft. All of a sudden, there's like this weird shimmering color that's following around the raft, and slowly but surely it does something and it's killing each one. You don't know what that thing is. You never find out where it comes from. All you know is there's just this thing there, and it's killing. So I kind of like, and so I wrote at this point, I didn't want to know anything about how they got there. I did not want any of that answer. I did not want any theories. I'm like, this is just great. Let's just, because I love the unknown aspect of that. That's, we also then get introduced to, Darla.
Because then there's Darla. She's in the back row, and Charles and I both talked about there's a guy standing next to Darla who we recognize from something. He was probably like some person's dad or something, but he says he's Darla's husband.
Yes, and so eventually, they're still going, through like the old people, but like one person, the fourth one, she's like, no, I'm only in my 50s. I'm a cancer survivor. That's why I have gray hair.
Yeah, and then there's the guy who's like, well, then you're close to being dead. We just need to vote you, which. The bluntness with some of what they're saying is really messed up.
Yeah, and there was the same guy who said we need to go after the old people.
Yes,
and so that guy gets
exactly they then vote that guy dead, which surprises a giant chunk of the people, because also part of what I enjoyed about this too is that you have people from all walks of life.
Yeah.
And you don't know where that they're going to end up. You have a preacher, and this movie's 10 years ago now. So you have a lady who's married to her wife, kind of thing, which 10 years ago was accepted, but not nearly as accepted as it is today, for example. And so there's a lot of little stuff like that. And so it's like, because what some of these people, what becomes abundantly clear is they have to figure out what's going on, but you don't want to be the one that's figuring out what's going on.
Yeah.
Because it seems like those that are figuring out what's going on are giving people a reason to vote them off.
Yeah, because they say, hey, why don't we just get to know each other, figure out, what's the common. And so there's one woman that kind of shares all about.
She shares, hey, I work in human resources. My name's such and such.
Yeah, and she gets killed immediately.
And they're like, there was no need to keep her around.
One guy said she doesn't have kids. And that's why. And so that one person that I voted for her because he doesn't have, and that starts the debate why he might have kids at some point. Why,
Well, and then what I thought was funny. So yeah, fine. I have 12 kids.
Yeah.
One of the people's like, yeah, fine that I have kids.
24, yeah,
I have 24 kids.
Yeah, like it doesn't pay it doesn't pay to speak up. Like the other person, they said, who's going to, like one guy, I ain't saying shit. This is when I wrote, Craig says he's married to Darla. So to Darla talks about how I am married, and that my wife happens to be right next to me. I wrote 3 letters at that. S-U-S. Sus. So you have a 4th grade teacher, and sus is like, the lingo. When like that's sus, I right away I'm like, bullshit. I'm like, bullshit. They also like a couple other people. They say a couple other people claim to know each other. There was 2 that seemed to be said that they were having an affair. And we find out just a little bit later, but a cop who recognized, this is a little bit later, the cop who recognized arresting one of the other guys with a tear ductor for beating the shit out of his girlfriend.
Yeah.
So some people know each other. And then there's one person they realize that does not speak English. And so they start to target.
And so the minorities in the start to also realize that not so subtly they're being targeted now.
Yes,
because I think like any kind of reality show, it's any reason to vote somebody out. Like if anybody's a Survivor fan, the biggest thing initially in Survivor is that you don't want to give people a reason in the first couple episodes to vote you out, because they'll do it for any fucking reason at all because it's not them.
Yeah, and so one person that's kind of dominating right now is what I refer to him as Suit Guy. Okay, Suit Guy's a dick. Suit Guy's a resident racist, a resident homophobe. He's the guy that's saying, all right, we got to eliminate him. We can speak Spanish. Probably stole somebody's job anyway. Luckily for the Spanish speaker, there is a translator right behind and to the right, and so basically the attention gets deviated away, not to Suit Guy for a while, but somebody else gets.
And one of the things I'll step
eliminated.
One of the things I'll step in here too that I appreciated from a screenplay aspect, and that's why I was disappointed that the people who did this hadn't done much since, is that I appreciated the bluntness with how a lot of the dialogue was. And maybe it was improv and it wasn't them, but that wasn't the screenplay or whatever. But I think if they weren't as blunt with some of this stuff, it wouldn't have hit nearly as well. Yeah. Because also it's something that I don't know if this kind of movie, this was only 10 years ago, but nowadays people would sugarcoat stuff so much that it would be hard to get the same kind of dialogue across.
Yeah. And by the way, for those of you that when you search for it, if you see like the reality show, that reality show is based off this movie. Okay. The reality show is based off it because my wife was in another part of the room while I was watching this, and I was telling her about it. She's like, "They did a reality show off that during like COVID, basically." Yeah. And so that's why it's called a variation of Circles, because it spawned a reality show. And so, like, the cop, again, we mentioned the cop, the guy that he arrested beating his wife, that ends up, the guy that beat his girlfriend ends up getting killed. But also, I'm like, cop's kind of a racist. Because he's very much a they, you people. Yeah, I mentioned, like, would I talk in this situation or stay quiet? Military guy is another guy that's talking about, he's very much, talking about how, like, very rational, we need to work together to figure this out.
And right about this time too, one of my favorite, because there's a few pieces of dialogue I wrote down, and I wrote down timestamps for myself because I want to try and do some clips to put on to promote this a little bit. The guy who we find out later has 7 or 8, the guy who's specifically talking about kids, he starts bringing up the child. And they start talking to the child, and he specifically asks her what grade she got.
Yeah.
And specifically,
the banker.
Yeah, he's a banker.
Yes.
And then I forget who said this, but they said, "Oh my God, she got a B. Let's kill her."
Yeah, that was a great line.
That was an amazing line.
Now they decide at this point they're trying to figure out some of the rules again. This is where they force a tie.
Yep.
Figure out what happens. That did not work well. Basically, find out if you force a tie and you don't resolve the tie, both people die. And so then basically the first time they do it, then they do a tie again right after that, and it's the first time the kid is in a tie.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's just diabolical. The kid survives. The kid is in. I wrote it down like the kid is in a lot of ties throughout this movie. I'm like, this kid getting fucking traumatized.
And then
I also wrote she is. I wrote at some point she wrote that she is the Kansas City Chiefs of the circle, and that she's in really, really close matches repeatedly. She's repeatedly in these ties, but you know what? And she always squeezes out of the end. We're Kansas City Chiefs fans, so like she's the Kansas City Chiefs of this movie.
Well, because because is this also at the time when they start asking for volunteers?
Yes, right after this, they start after the tie when they figure out the tie.
Because they ask for volunteers. And I thought this was a very touching part of the movie, is that there's this... Initially, it's this guy... I think the actor's probably in his 20s. Yeah. There's this actor 16. Who's in... Character 16.
Yeah.
And they said, he volunteers. And they said, why do you want to volunteer? And he's like, I don't want to kill anybody.
Yeah.
And I thought it was such a well-delivered line.
Yeah.
Then what the part that happens then is that one of the older African American people on the other side of the circle then volunteers to take his spot.
Yeah.
And then he purposely walks off to take his spot.
Yeah, and I'm like, props to the guy that sacrificed himself. I'm like, poor 16-year-old volunteers to die so he doesn't kill. Also, right when the guy says, that, basically slightly before that when he's like, what kind of kid is she? I wrote, again, I'm a fourth grade teacher. I'm like, fuck you, guy! I'm like, I wrote, imagine the emotional state of the winner. The volunteers are heartbreaking.
Oh, exactly. And then the kid ends up still volunteering next anyway. But it's the kind of thing where what you start to see is that this is right about the point where he also says, if you don't have kids, you should just do the right thing and step forward.
Yes.
I'm like, good God.
Because let's try spearheading something as banker guy, but there's also angry guy. Angry young... I was like... I put... that because we have the God debate, which I thought, and then there was like God, and then a good moment by angry maybe drug user guy. That guy who's kind of blonde hair, kind of has a bit of.
He does a really good job in this movie.
And so he's kind of taking. There's at different points in the movie there's kind of members of the circle that kind of take the ball and they are really are like the head of a section. And he's angry after the God debate. He seems like he's trying to get he's trying to encourage anger. He says the girl next to him, he recognized, you're porn star. He's really trying to get under. He's now trying to target people, and he ends up at a tie with her, and then boom, he's gone.
Well, not the long hair blonde guy.
No.
The other guy. The short.
I'm talking about
the asshole guy. Yeah,
the asshole.
Yeah.
Angry, short hair. He was right. I said, not the long hair guy.
Yeah.
At this point, he hasn't really started talking.
No, and I think because he makes a point. Because I actually appreciated that is that there's characters here that become main characters later on that are making a point of not saying, because up until this point, Darla, for example, hasn't said a whole
much. No,
but she was easily the most known actress or actor. Period. Going into this,
without a doubt.
Yeah,
and so and then we have another thing. This is where we talk. We have get into the woman who has a child and a wife, and the racist homophobic suit guy starts really laying into her how it's wrong and.
It's bluntly, I don't want to get politic wise. It sounded an awful lot like some of the bullshit that you hear nowadays.
Yeah, and so it was good. I'm like, suit guy is the worst. I was like, yes, die, racist, homophobic suit guy. and so he gets cleared off the board. And this is when they finally, because it had been mentioned that we're gonna have basically at this point that we're that they realize there's gonna be a winner.
Yeah, and that's
vote for yourself.
And that's where our quote unquote I'm gonna call him main guy.
Yeah,
that's where. Earlier, a little bit before this, our main guy makes a point because I think he assumes that everybody's on the same wavelength. That hey guys, and maybe it's here you realize one of us is going to make it out of here.
Yeah,
and his thought is, well, shouldn't it be either the pregnant lady or the little kid?
Yes, and it's very clear that. He at this point he has that's it. He has a strategy. Nobody else has developed a strategy. He has a strategy because they realize the two people left dilemma. We've already established that if two people tie, and they don't change the vote, then both die. Which means when there's two people left. One person has to lay down their sword and die and agree to die.
Yep.
And that's the only way that one person can survive. And so that's when the debate about the kid and the pregnant woman ratchet out because there's a group of people basically. That you can never survive. That if those two are going to be the final two, none of us have a shot, and we need to get rid of one of them.
Exactly, and that's and that you start to then have. Because as all this is going on, let's just say some of the side characters that haven't talked, a lot of them start gradually going away. Yeah. But you also start to see a couple, basically like you would on a reality show. You start to see different facts. You see the pregnant lady, the little kid. We'll call him our main guy, the military guy, the cancer lady. And then on the other side, there's the bank guy, the hippie, the African American guy, and then Darla and her husband, kind of.
Yeah, and what you're also seeing a lot during this time, you're just seeing a lot of ties. Almost every single one has the kid.
Yeah, every
single tie has the kid, and they're saying because they want to get rid of the kid. So one side, not everybody. One side wants to get rid of the kid so that you.
Because bluntly, once the kid's gone, they're going to get rid of the pregnant lady. Is what's going to happen. The second that side gets rid of what they want to do is talk the we'll call them the good side and the bad side.
Yeah.
Okay. The good side wants to make sure either the pregnant lady or the kid are the one that make it out. The other side wants to make sure that anybody but them makes it out. And so the quote-unquote bad side, for lack of a better way to describe them, is that they want to get the kid. Well, the first thing they want is they want the majority.
Yeah.
Once they have the majority, they can vote out the kid. Once the kid's out, they'll vote out the pregnant lady.
Yeah.
And then they'll vote out the soldier, the cancer. They'll just vote out all the rest of them gradually.
Yep. And so again, and it's kind of going back. I wrote that this is getting dark. I love it. Good versus evil. Yeah. We're starting to get down. There's not all the the stragglers are all gone. There's not a whole lot left. This is where I know I wrote old heavyset guy. He has not spoken yet. He's the only person around who has not spoken in the movie, and this is where they find out Darla and co-husband. Yeah, they're not married. They made it up.
Yeah, because basically at the very, because we mentioned earlier when we were talking about all these people, there was that lady who described herself and she mentioned her name. After that, they made a point of saying, "Don't mention your name anymore. Who cares what your name is." Well, the guy next to Darla who said he was a husband mentioned his name the first time he spoke, and so people are starting to get, as Charles was saying, super sus about those two.
Yeah,
and they said, "Okay, that's fine. What's your husband's name?"
Yeah. He said it because his husband, because in the beginning, right when they were just talking about it, they said, "Let's not do any names," and then he immediately said his name accidentally. He's like, "Oh, my bad." And so they realize that he ends up getting out. And then we have, and I wrote at this point, old heavyset guy. There has to be a reason why he's still. I started wondering if he was behind it, part of it. I wondered, maybe he's deaf. And then we have probably the most intense part of the movie. The five-way.
There's a five-way tie,
and there's only at this point maybe 10.
There's maybe people. 10. There may be 10 people. I forget how many people. There's maybe 10 people left. Yeah. And who was at the tie? It was the cancer lady, the soldier, blonde-haired guy.
Yeah. A couple. I forget who else. Maybe Darla.
Yeah. It was
But a lot of a five-way tie, and only the guy with the long hair survived.
Yep.
Everybody else.
Yeah, the four.
And it was the woman with the wife, because she was on the side of kill it. At this point, she was voting with, I think, to survive, to kill the kid. She was, and so really, and it was pretty much at that point, pretty much everybody dies who was on the side of killing the kid.
Yep.
That's what, except for the long hair guy. He's the only guy.
Yeah.
He's the only guy that's left. And so obviously, long-haired guy goes.
At this point, there's long-haired guy, there's main guy, there's heavy-set guy, and then there's the
kid and the pregnant lady. And then there was what's going on. The old guy has never voted.
No, he has never voted because he does not want to kill anybody.
Yeah, no, he never talks, and so
he never talks either. And so I don't know if that's because
I think it's that he doesn't want. It's just kind of defiance. I think it is, and not. Yeah. I think that's what it is. The one thing, and so he never voted. So eventually, so afterwards, that, and then after that, that's when long-haired guy goes. And that's where, okay, well, he, they talk why? Well, he knows that we have to vote for him now. So the pregnant lady, the kid, and the guy vote for, vote for the old guy. That's it. And now,
so now what's left is our quote unquote main guy, the kid, and the pregnant lady.
Yeah.
They make a decision that the pregnant lady is going to be the one that makes it because there's two of them. "Quote unquote."
Yeah, and the kid volunteers.
The kid volunteers to
step off. And then what we have is the first big twist. As she's stepping off, the main guy votes for the pregnant lady.
Yes,
killing both of them.
Which then kills the kid. Kid stepped off, which killed themselves. Pregnant lady then gets voted out.
Yeah.
He then thinks he's the last one.
I disagree with that. I don't think he thought he was the last one then.
Oh, okay.
See, because then what happens is another tie gets forced between him and the unborn baby. I think, that's what I said. He had a plan in the beginning. He knew from way in the beginning, once the votes were, he realized
the unborn baby was going to count as a person.
So he realized pregnant lady was 2, essentially. So he realized that he needed to get down to the kid, the pregnant lady. You needed to get the kid to step off and die. And so that at the same moment he can vote for that, because he knew that the unborn baby, that they were going to count the unborn baby as one, and so that he needed to be in that tie because he knew the unborn baby could not vote. So the main guy was absolutely diabolical. So he pretended like he was saving.
I love it so much.
And so he votes for the unborn baby. They show it off screen, and then he
gets out.
He gets out. He survived. And so it was a massive twist. I loved it. The guy is messed up, but again, a movie like this, I like stuff sometimes where the good guy doesn't necessarily win. Sometimes in Stephen King books, the good guy doesn't always win. I like that. I enjoy that. I enjoy kind of how that played.
No, I enjoyed it too. Did you see the ending, or did the ending surprise you?
You mean like
did you see?
Oh no!
Did you see him turning?
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
No. I'm sorry. Did you realize ahead of time that he was going to do that?
No.
Okay.
No.
The reason, because a lot of times the reason I ask Charles, everybody, is that my brother tends to. As I said earlier, that Ivan is really dumb and he doesn't see this stuff. Charles typically sees this stuff 10 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, no, I did not see that.
Okay.
I did not see that coming, and I thought it was a really good twist. So yeah. So what do you have this movie rated?
I have it as a diamond and a 4.
Yeah. I have it a diamond as about a 4 as well. My only knock, and again, this is why I have 2 knocks. Neither one of them are major. One, the old heavyset guy not voting. That is a bit of a plot hole because early in the movie they established where everybody voted for the person on the right to force like a tie thing. The first time it failed, second time it worked, and they really learned they shouldn't do that. Not a big deal. I don't really care about that.
Yeah.
The only other that doesn't even move the needle. It's just every movie has holes. The other thing is kind of goes back to what I said in the beginning. Towards the beginning was I didn't want to know anything.
Oh,
now they don't go through and tell you everything, but during the parts that they remember, they tell, and also they reinforce it a little bit once he gets back to the real world. Is that you make it clear it's some kind of alien thing going on. And so they don't go delve into it deeply because some of them remember they're like green could be Chinese, like Chinese aliens. So but they make it clear that okay, so it's some kind of alien thing, and then once he's out at the end, you do see like circle ships in the sky, and it's not the big thing. I just would have liked as if nobody really, and there was never even speculation. So it could have been aliens. Could have been a government, could be dystopian government type thing.
I agree with if they had shown less on that. What I appreciated what I liked about that ending part though, is that you saw other survivors.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you saw other people that survived the same, because there was a whole bunch of kids.
Yeah.
There was a whole bunch of pregnant ladies.
Yes.
But there was also more than just a couple guys in their 20s.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it was I like the fact that they showed that he wasn't the only one who was a diabolical asshole. Because obviously the other people who were not kids or pregnant ladies had to have had a similar...
Yeah, so the only thing is even if they had just maybe cut off the last 5 seconds and didn't pan up to the sky... That would have been enough. Yeah. But again, it's a great movie. It's a 4-star. It's a 4-star diamond. 4 diamond to me. It was a really really fun yarn. Self-contained.
It was self-contained. It didn't overstay its welcome by having it be 2.5 hours by explaining a bunch of bullshit that doesn't matter about how they got there or anything like that.
Probably filmed for quite cheap.
It had to be filmed for quite cheap. And that's why I was really disappointed to find out the people who made this haven't done anything since. Because if anybody watches it, you'll notice the actors have though. Yeah. The actors that are none of these actors outside of Darla, and she was kind of known ahead of time. Yeah. But I want to say a good 30% of these actors I've seen other places before.
Yeah.
I had seen the guy who played the soldier. I had seen somewhere before. I'd seen the cancer lady before. The banker I had seen play something before. And so I had seen a lot of these actors before. It's just disappointed that I didn't see the creators doing it. But I was also very surprised to see it got 43% by the audience. I think it's just some people who are overthinking stuff. It's
So, all right. So next time we're going to go into the realm of video games, and we're going to look at, this is one of the entries in a franchise, a very popular video game, The Mortal Kombat franchise. We're not going to look at the original though.
No.
We're not going to look at the one that came out a couple years ago that got good reviews. I don't know, was it 4 or 5 years ago, whatever. We're going to go for Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yeah.
Okay, and the movie. Yes, so tune in next time because we are going to go and try to. We're going to go. We watched it a long, long time ago. We remember watching the original Mortal Kombat. Just because we're not going to do the original Mortal Kombat, I recommend going to check out the original Mortal Kombat. It was probably the first video game movie that was good. And I would even say, aside from like some dated effects, just dated because it came out 30 years ago, the original Mortal Kombat holds up. The original Mortal Kombat overall holds up. But let's just see Mortal Kombat Annihilation if they carry the torch.
Yeah, well, and I looked it up because Charles and I completely forgot to look this up before we planned, just started chatting. They're like, hey, our next one's going to be Mortal Kombat. We forgot to look and see where you can watch this.
Oh, yeah, where can we watch this?
Netflix.
Oh, okay, good. Hey, it's on Netflix.
Yeah. Or at least.
Mortal Kombat!
Cool. Have a good one, everybody.
Adios.